I know that you're excited that you qualify, your bond is pre-approved, and you're going to buy your first property. But today what I want to do is to talk to you about the true cost of buying a house here in South Africa. Now, I guarantee you that the banks are not going to tell you this, the estate agents are not going to tell you this, no one is going to do this. And for that reason, the only way to make an informed decision is to know the facts before you actually buy a property. And this is what I wanted to help you with today. So there's this hidden financial reality in South Africa when people are buying properties, and even people that has bought properties, they are caught in this thing where they think the South African dream is we're going to have property, and a property is a long-term investment and it's going to be great. And it's far better to buy property than to rent property because I'm not going to make the landlord rich. You know all the stories. But I think the chances are 98% that that property that you are so excited to buy is going to become a nightmare when you look at it over a 10 and a 20-year period. Now, I started in 1987. This is where I discovered that. But in 1987, I saw there are two systems. I was a certified financial planner at that point in time, and I could see that by doing what everyone tells you, like buying a house is a good investment, that none of that is true. So I'd like to give you a gift, even before we begin. Go to engine.wealthcreators.com. You'll see this app. You don't have to log in, you don't have to do anything, and then start with the process. There I'm going to show you the difference between the two ways of doing financial planning. That's where we start. And then if it makes sense, there's another app that I'd like to give you for free, but you have to follow that link in order to get there. That is a Financial Freedom Planner. And I'm going to talk a little bit about your FFGR, your Financial Freedom Growth Rate, how to determine that. The second app is going to be able to help you with that. Okay, now why do I do this? Because my job is to educate. My job is to teach you what to do and what not to do, what works, what does not work. I've got a little bit more than 40 years, 42 years experience as a property investor. And for the last 24 years, I've been mentoring people that wants that additional help to fast track and fast forward their financial freedom. Right, so let's talk about this financial reality in South Africa and how it looks. You see, this dream that we've got, it's an illusion. I know that you are working hard, that you save for a deposit, you're ready to invest, the banks pre-approved it. Sometimes with new developments, they will come to you and say, but you don't need the deposit, you don't need any transfer duties and cost and nothing of that. And then you go to the bank and the bank says, we are going to give you 105% to 100% and 10%, depending on what bank you're going to look at. Plus, of course, you have to qualify in terms of your credit rating and stuff like that. We'll help you. You can to buy a house and it's going to be great. And right there, the confabulation is going to start because these people are not going to play open cards with you like I'm going to do in this session. So what is confabulation? Confabulation is simply when you do not know that you don't know what you're supposed to know. Now, this that you're supposed to know, no one is going to tell you. So most people, what they look at, can I afford this thing? They do affordability study, and based on that, they say, yes, let's go. So this act of buying something where you focus, for example, on the monthly repayments, but you don't understand the hidden cost and the structural cost and how much that thing is actually going to cost you, how much money you're going to lose. Unless you're aware of that, you are in a state of confabulation and you cannot make an informed decision. So this is what we're going to do today. Now, there are hidden upfront costs that very few people are going to tell you. There's the interest trap. We're going to get into it. There's tax implications that I'd like to show you quickly. And then there's a massive, massive opportunity cost that you're not going to be aware of unless you become aware that this is what keeps most people poor. So the price tag is not the cost to enter into that transaction. You know, what most people do is they focus on the bond approval, see, can I qualify for this? And when they're in the deal, they start looking and discovering that there's a lot of things that we did not look at. For example, the legal cost. You know, there's transfer duties, there's bond registration, there's legal cost. The attorney that handles it, the attorney that canceled the bond, all of that cost is included. Then there's the bond registration fee. Then there's transfer duties. This is not always applicable, by the way. So if you buy a property to the value of $1 million, there's no transfer duties in any case applicable. And then there's the listing price. Now this makes up what you're going to pay for the property. So let's assume that a developer comes to you and they say, man, you don't have to pay any of these. We are the developers, we settle that. The net effect is R1 million. That is what you're going to pay. The bank says, we'll give you $1 million, even more than $1 million. You feel on top of the world, you're going to buy that first property. But let's think for a moment. The developer has to pay 15% VAT. Right, and that is already included. The developer is going to subsidize all these costs with attorneys and the transfer duties and stuff. That is actually built into the price. They're most probably going to tell you, if it's an investment, that will guarantee you the rent that you're going to get for the first year. I see this every day. Open Facebook and you'll see these developments. This is what they say. But here's a problem. When you buy, you have to sell, let's say, 3 months later, because you are being relocated to another, your job sends you somewhere else. And suddenly you get back into the market just to recoup your money. You have to sell for the price that you paid. But now suddenly you see, but it's not the true price, because now the new buyer has to pay the cost, right? There's estate agency fees that are going to come off. And you're sitting with a property, and there's a ton of people that is sitting in that situation. They can't sell because the second-hand market in this new development, it's far easier to go to a new development, no deposit, that is what people do, than to pay a 10% deposit, and they have to pay the transfer duty and all the other stuff that goes with it. Right. So make sure that you understand that little part. Now, what is the ownership burden? I see a lot of people say it's better to buy than to rent, or it's better to rent than to buy, depending on how you want to see it. But as an owner, you've got certain expenses that a tenant hasn't got. For example, a tenant gets into your place, they don't worry. Maybe the contract say they have to pay the water and light. But what about if that roof starts to leak? You have to fix it. The plumbing, suddenly that toilet, and most of the time there's more than one toilet in a house. Suddenly that is not working lekker. Now you have to get a plumber. The raise in taxes, by now I think that you understand that you as the landlord have to make provision for that. So the raise in taxes goes up higher than what you expected. The trustees come to you and they say, listen, we need to repaint, we haven't got enough money, so there's a special levy that we're going to. You haven't made provision for that. If you're a tenant, you don't care about that. You can just rent. Now, is it better to rent or to buy? Well, that depends on a lot of things. But you need to know that as an owner, you're going to be in for all these additional costs. Right. We'll talk about the rent versus buy a little bit later on, and then I've got video trainings where we focus 100% just on that. There's another trap that you're going to step in very, very quickly, and that is the math that the banks will not ever show you. They're there, but they're not going to say, okay, just make sure that you understand this, that Wamanis is going to explain to you now. Let's say, for example, you buy a property to the value of R1 million and the bond is R1 million. Let's make it about 10%. And most properties here in South Africa are over 20 years, so it costs you X amount. So when you look at the property, if it's a true valuation of that property for R1 million, this development, you can easily deduct 20% of the value, right, of the property. But let's assume the value, the market value, fair market value is R1 million. When you enter into this deal and you take just your bond repayments and you calculate over 20 years how much you're going to pay, you're going to pay for this property 2.4 million. In other words, the banks are going to make 1.4 million directly. No problem with that. If you understand that and you're willing to do that, then go for it. But you know, as a wealth creator, I want to understand everything, because risk is when I do not know what I'm doing. If I do not understand what I'm doing, I'm at risk. Now, I need to understand how the banks are operating. So let me help you. And I think there's a little bit of confabulation here as well. When you go to the bank and you ask for R1 million, the general thinking is the bank has got R1 million and therefore they can charge the interest because they've got R1 million. The truth is the bank hasn't got the money. This is how the financial system operates. The bank needs to give 2.5%, right? The rest they can lend out. In other words, if someone gives them 1,000 rand or 100 rand, they must give 2 rands and 75 cents. The rest they can get. In other words, they can lend out 40 times more than what they get from you. And here's another problem. The moment that you give the bank R1 million on a fixed deposit, do you know that the moment that you've given it according to law, right, it's not your money anymore. It belongs to the bank. There's only a promissory note that they will give it back at a certain percent interest. So the bank, by doing this deal, they print the money out of thin air, and they don't actually print money. It's just digital numbers on a screen, right? We think that it's their money. It's not their money. It's thin air money. Another thing that I want to show you is that you're not buying a house, you are renting money, especially if you don't know what you're doing. What do I mean with that? In some of my seminars, I break this down and I show you in the first year, more than 90% of your payment goes directly to bond repayments. In other words, that's interest that you're paying to the bank. You're not capitalizing. It's not equity that you build up. It goes straight to the bank, right? Now, if you take the first 10 years, you're going to find that out of all the payments that you've done, more than 70% is going to go to the bank as their profits. So your principal, your equity is coming down with, let's say, 30%. It's only in the last 5 years where this turns over, where you're actually paying more capital. The average homeowner, every 7 years, according to stats, they either buy a bigger house or they renovate and they increase their bond. So this simply means that you are renting your house from the bank. Now, I see people come and say, I've bought this new property, come over tonight to my house for a braai. They've got no idea what they're talking about. Whose house is it? It belongs to the bank. It's not their house. They can't claim that it's their house because the bank has got the title deed. It's not your house. And I want you guys to understand that before you start with this journey. If you're in this journey, well, I can't help you. I can help you in a different way, but this video is not really going to help you unless you want to buy another house. Now, there's another double whammy that I'd like to talk about and that I just bring to your attention at this point in time, and that is tax. Now, a normal salary earner does not feel this because they are used to, they get the salary, tax is automatically deducted, pay as you earn, right? So you are sitting with a net effect. You go to the bank, they qualify you, you go for it, and you don't understand how the government and how the tax system is confoculating you as well. But let's assume, just for now, that you've got your own business, right? You've got a massive like a contract that you're going to get. You're going to basically make a lot more money, and you decide that I'm going to buy a bigger house or this specific house, maybe your first house, but I'm not going to lower my standard of living. In other words, I've got the ability to earn more money, and then that money is part of my freedom money, but it's also for my place to stay in. I know it sounds weird, but just bear with me. So your bond repayments, with all the interest that's involved in that, is that tax deductible or not tax deductible from your income, from your salary? And the answer is no. In South Africa, you cannot do that. Now, this means you are paying with after tax. So if I earn 10,000 Rand more in order to pay this house for 10,000 Rand, SARS is going to come back depending on my marginal rate, and they're going to say anything between 3,000 to 4,500 of that 10,000 should actually go to them, and they're going to take it. So how much money must you actually earn additional energy, right? Remember, I figured this out in 1987 because I could not get it why we're not getting ahead in life. We're working harder, we're working better, but nothing is happening. Till I understand, but I have to factor in the tax situation because now suddenly I have to earn, let's say, 16,000 Rand per month, so that 6,000 goes to SARS, 10,000 goes to the bank. Of the 10,000, they take 9,900 Rand in the first month. I'm keeping with 100 Rand. it made no sense to me. Once I understood it, I said, okay, but how is it that other people do get ahead in life? And they get ahead because they're not confoculated. And this is what I'm trying to tell you, is don't make decisions unless you're informed. As long as you make uninformed decisions, you're in a state of confoculation. Now, there's something else that I'd like to touch in this training session quickly, and that is the illusion of appreciation. We think property is going to go up, and because property is going to go up, we're going to make a killing. Now, in the Property Accelerator Masterclass, I'm taking you through, let's call it a real-life case study, and I show you that is not the truth. In South Africa, over the last 5 years, property grew by less than 4%. So let's say it grew by 5%. We take the money, we pocket a 1.4 million or 1.5 million that we pocket, but now the moment that you start adding all the costs that you've done, you're going to find, but you've paid a lot more, not a little bit, a lot more than 1.4 million. But now you still have to deduct the bond. So you are in the red, big time. And this means that it's taking you out of this planning. So instead of helping you to get to your goal, this is keeping you away from the goal. The beauty about this whole thing, if you understand this, is I can buy a house. I can stay in that house, and that house can be my home, can be an incredible investment. Because there's certain tax benefit, capital gains tax benefits by doing it in your personal name. Now, of course, there's the other side of the story, but you cannot make an informed decision unless you know all the facts. And my job is to tell you the facts. Your job is to decide what you're going to do with the facts. Now, what about rent versus buy? Let's have a look at the two. And for each one of these, you can make up a case and say this is best. But it's not the best. But before I show you why it's not the best, let me get into it. If you're renting, then the capital is liquid. In other words, if you save, if it costs you 10,000 Rand, if you bought a house, it would cost you 15,000 Rand. It means, if you compare the two, this guy has got 5,000 Rand surplus. If he puts that anywhere, wherever he wants, that liquidity is available immediately. In a bond, it's going to be locked. It's locked within those walls of that property. It's not that easy to get that money out. Secondly, if you look at the renting story, that fixed monthly cost that I've talked about, the plumber and the roof started to leak, or there's a wind that blows off the roof, you don't worry about it. They have to fix it. It's the landlord's baby. It's not your baby. You don't have to worry about it. On that side, suddenly there are costs that no one foreseed. Suddenly there's 2,000, 5,000 Rand additional out of your pocket. You did not make provision for that. Where's that money going to come from? You have to be careful and know that before you start. With renting, it's high flexible, a month notice, 20 days notice, and you can move from Pretoria to Cape Town. No problem. When you've bought that house, it's not that easy. Now I either have to rent there or I must lose the job, because I'm not going to necessarily sell the house here in South Africa. Now, it sounds like at this stage maybe renting is better, but it's got nothing to do with rent or buy. So we look at the net effect of the money that you've got. Now it comes back to your skills. So if I've got 5,000 Rand compared to this guy, right, surplus on the rent side, and I know and I've got a strategy to let this money work at a high growth rate, I'll be far better off than a person that has got 5,000 Rand, more than he has to pay, but there's locked in a property. Let's reverse it. If I'm paying 5,000 Rand more and this guy is renting, and he invests the 5,000 Rand, but in my structure, there's 5,000 Rand that's allocated because I'm renting, in fact, for myself. So I would have rent for 10,000 Rand, but now my house is costing 5,000 Rand, so that 5,000 Rand is my investment. This guy can take unit trust. Now, if this 5,000 on that property, this is what I show in the Property Accelerator Masterclass and in my training video. If this grows more than your financial freedom growth rate, or let's assume this grows at 30% and this guy's unit trust grows at 10%, this guy is going to be better off than that guy. Can you see? It's got to do with the structure. It's got to do with your skill to invest the money. It's got to do with your skills to set up the structures where you will be rewarded, not someone else. So the question that we need to ask is this. This transaction, whatever transaction you decide to do, is it going to help me to become financially free, yes or no? Stop asking this, can I afford the bond? That's a stupid question to ask. Start asking, does this help me to reach my financial freedom growth rate within the specific set of time? If that is the case, then go for it. If it's not the case, maybe look for another property. Know how to do these calculations. Know how to do the sums. Your financial freedom growth rate is that rate. How hard must your money work in order to get your goal? Say, for example, you need 10 million rand more in 10 years' time, but you've got only 1,000 rand to invest. So if you calculate it on a normal Excel spreadsheet, it's about 65%. If this property, when you type in that property, the difference between what you're paying rent and what it costs you, if that difference does not grow at 65%, it is a bad deal. The same with your investment. If you're renting and you've got 5,000 surplus, but that 5,000 is growing at 5% and you need 65%, it's a stupid move. It's not going to help you. Einstein says insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. I know that you guys are getting. So let's get into this, the formula for freedom, which is your IGR must be bigger than your FFGR. Your IGR is your investment growth rate. In other words, how hard is your money working in that property? There are 27 variables when it comes to a property. I'm not talking about the property's appreciation, which will be about 4% over the last 10 years. I'm talking about the money that you put into that monthly cost. How hard is that working? If it's more than your FFGR, which I'm giving you the tool, I told you about that, and you calculate that and it's 55% as an example. If the IGR on this property, which you can calculate beforehand with a stress test at the same time, right, if that's more than 55%, you go for it. If your IGR in any investment is less than your FFGR, you are trapped, and you are trapped for the rest of your life. So if your property grows by 12%, and that is less than the 24 that you needed, you're losing ground, my friend. You cannot get ahead. And this is where we get into cycles. The problem with a property, it looks like you've got a deal. The property is there. There's a tenant in it. He's paying you. But you don't know that you're actually losing pace over a period of time. And it becomes more and more difficult to get ahead in life. So what I'd like to tell you is stop guessing. Calculate your financial freedom growth rate. This is where we're going to start. Remember I said you go to engine.wealthcreatorsmethod. There's a little thing. There's no login details. You start jolling around with that thing. And then at the end, when you understand why the system is not working, I'm going to give you a solution. And you're going to see that that solution is a fraction. And then you're going to worry, Hannes, but where the hell and how can you do this? Right. Then you click on that link. And it takes you to the Financial Freedom Planner. And in the Financial Freedom Planner, I'm going to do a little onboarding. I'm going to show you exactly what you can do and how potent property can be on condition that you understand it. But you first have to understand and identify the gap. Then we can start. In 1987, when I made this discovery, my friend, my life changed. 7 years later, we were financially free. This is the power of what I'm offering you, because I'm a mentor, I'm an educator. I'm not here to sell you any damn product or you have to set your trust up through us. We'll do all the work. No, you still have to do that yourself. So it's got nothing to do with me. I'm giving you my experience and my skills. And I'm giving that to you in systems where you follow the system and you know exactly what I know, even if it's taken me 40 years to figure that out. Right? It's yours. Right? So what is the true cost of that dream? Is this investment or is it confabulation? If your IGR is not bigger than your FFGR, you are busy with the confabulation story. If it's bigger than that, you are busy with the investment. Don't confuse the two. An investment is only when your growth on your money is working harder than your financial freedom growth rate. So I'd like you to break free from this property trap. Now that you know the problem or some of the problems, you've got the basic calculator to start the process. Now we need to start with a strategy for wealth creation. Right. So learn how to structure those deals. I'm not going to show that to you yet, but you can't do that unless you've got your financial freedom growth rate. I've written a blog that goes 10 times deeper than what we've done here today, right? You'll find it in the link just below this video if it's on YouTube. And then I'd also like you to come and attend the Property Accelerator Masterclass. Again, you're going to find a link below. You click on that link, you book your seat, maybe you'll get on a waiting list. I don't know when I'm going to present it again. And then come and listen, because there you can ask me questions directly in live, and I show you the system. I show you what I'm doing, and I show you how quickly we can get answers. So what I'd like to do is to invite you to that. I know that you're going to love it, at least even if you decide not to do anything. It's additional training, and it's going to open your mind so that you can make the best possible informed decision before you actually buy that property. Now, if you think this was valuable, send it to your best friends. Send it to people that you love, that you think that you can help. And maybe give me a like if you think it's worth it. Thanks for your time, and make sure to follow this playlist. I'll see you then in the next one.